When we look at civilizations, we look at what they've built. We look at their buildings, their roads, their temples, their art. But what we rarely talk about was what wasn't built. Because what was built and what was left behind tells us everything about who was allowed to hold the pen. Right now, we're living in unprecedented times. AI is changing the world, and it's going to affect every single person, every single decision, job. And these decisions are being made in very small rooms. They're being built by groups of people in a handful of cities. Seattle, New York, Beijing, San Francisco. And they're being made in very homogeneous teams. And what product research shows is that when we have homogeneous teams, we also have homogeneous products that don't address everybody's needs. And this is what I'm here to challenge today. When we have diverse teams, we reduce the individual bias and we create products that are actually inclusive and welcoming from everyone. So today's today's language systems are basically the AI systems that were just the wrong button. So the AI systems that we're building today are built on 100 out of 7,000 global languages that we have today. This means that 6,900 languages are being left out because they never were invited to the room. They never had the access to the capital and never were able to actually build. But people still showed up. They showed up uninvited. And this is the conversation that I want to take you on today. So let's start off with Kericho County. Kericho County is known, this is in Kenya, and it's known for making delicious tea. And basically a program called Virtual Agronomist was built by a company called ISDA, and it was built to empower the local farmers. So the way that this app works is basically local farmers can send their specific crop data to this AI via WhatsApp. And if they don't have a smartphone, they can just rely on their network of trusted advisors. And basically they send over the crops that they're trying to grow together with the location. And then the AI system will map out this information across this the cross-continental soil map that it has of Africa, combined with agronomic science and crop history, and it will send out a personalized, bespoke fertilizer and management plan in a language that the farmer can understand. So this isn't something that was built in Silicon Valley, and it would never be because it doesn't have some huge membership subscription cost. It costs $1.50 per season per farmer. And 78% of the farmers ended up adopting it within a few months of its launch and saw a 1.4 to 1.9 times increase in their crops. Now for our next story, we're going to go to Burkina Faso. So Burkina Faso is one of the biggest onion producer in Western Africa. And what they've noticed is that 40% of their crops are failing, and they're failing not because of how they're being grown. They're failing actually after the produce and in the storage. This is because of the climate, because of the high humidity rates. And so Rukina Burato, she decided to do something about it, and she developed an AI-powered system that's solar-powered, and it's built out of eco-recyclable materials. And it's basically, it withstands the different temperature and climate changes and ensures that this gets preserved for future generations. And when we empower women, we tend to empower entire communities. And so for our last example, I want to take you to North USA. So Michael Running Wolf is an incredible human being who basically grew up in a small village of 96 people in Montana, speaking languages Lakota, that is soon to be forgotten. He actually learned how to code on a calculator. He ended up getting a computer degree and working for Amazon, actually building Alexa. So as he was learning about these language systems and how to build them, he also noticed that all of them are essentially built only on monosynthetic languages. This means that you need a space for each word to understand the meaning, but there's plenty of languages like Arabic and indigenous languages that are actually polysynthetic, and they basically combine multiple verbs and nouns into one word, and so they decipher meaning very differently. And the monosynthetic systems that we have actually shut down whenever you try to input a polysynthetic system. So he basically decided to document over 200 indigenous languages that are about to be distinct. So right now we have still about 4,000 indigenous languages left, and one dies every 2 weeks with its last speaker. And so what he's done is he's actually empowering young people to document their languages of their ancestors. And he's also giving them the governance to do so and the servers. So in his words, if your grandmother's language lives on a server that you don't own, you haven't been preserved, you've been archived. And here's the question of gender as well. So this isn't happening only in rural communities, it's also happening to the people around you. So today, women hold only 22% of AI roles. And that number goes down to 15% when it comes to executive roles. So this is kind of scary data, but then when we look at what's happening, what kind of jobs women are holding, we can see that also women's jobs are 3 times more likely to be automated. And so the people who are faced with the biggest biases and the consequences of AI are also the ones that are usually not welcome in the rooms that are building it. And this is why we decided to build SheAI. So we are on a mission to close the gender gap with accessible AI education. And besides Europe and US, we're also working with entrepreneurs in Colombia, in Ukraine, and all over the world. And what we're trying to make sure is that these women also have access to these rooms where the decisions get made. So as we look at the systems that we have today, we can definitely say that they're still being built by a very small amount of people in rooms that many people don't have access to. And so I really encourage you to start thinking about how do we expand those rooms? How do we make more inclusive products and services of the future that actually serve us all? And yeah, it's rare that we ask the question of who was allowed to build, and it's time that we start. Thank you.